Hello and welcome back to another episode of Irish Red Devil podcast. Manchester United 2, Nottingham Forest 2. I'm afraid United Strand. Is that the name, Killian?
Yeah,
United
it is.
Strand. He's going to have to wait probably a lifetime. He's never getting his hair cut anytime soon.
Another 5 weeks anyway.
At least. Well, they've got the international break coming up.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I want to apologise for the sound system that we had last week. Rookie mistake, and we've spent a lot of time this week trying to make sure that doesn't happen again. But thanks to AI last week, anyone who was listening would have heard that, might have noticed that some of the guys, particularly Gags's, accent kept changing throughout. He was kind of going more British at times, but which was quite funny. But anyway, tonight's show we've got a lot coming on tonight. We're actually trying another new thing. We're gonna have not just one, not just two. We're gonna have three guests on the show tonight. Our first guest is going to join us shortly, which is going to be Chris, the Nottingham Forest fan who was with us last week, and really interested in finding out his thoughts about the game. And then all week long, I've been trying to get some Spurs fans on, and just typical, you can't get, when you go for looking for a bus, you can't find one, and then two come along. So finally got a Spurs fan agreed to come on from Dublin, and then I've got another guy coming on from London. So we just decided, let's put the two of them together, and we're going to be joined later on the show, which will go out on Thursday for our pre-show episode. We're going to split it again like we did last week. And so we're going to get right into the show here, guys. Like I said last week, if you like what you're hearing, you're enjoying listening to us talking rubbish on a Monday night, like and subscribe to the channel, and it just makes us feel a bit better about ourselves, to be honest. We see people liking us. So to get into it, the three of us watched the football together in a very stressful environment at the weekend. I think me and Killian were both much more positive about what we were seeing. Gags was getting freaked out by it. But start with you, Gags. Give me your thoughts. What were your initial feelings after the game, and has anything changed since then?
Well, I think the game, as you knew, sitting beside me, I was disappointed from the start. Even at half time or 1-0 up, and I just was not happy with the intensity that the players were showing. I didn't feel we particularly deserved to be 1-0 up, and the way we sort of capitulated, started the second half, going 2-1 down. Just the intensity from the very start of that game, it just wasn't there. It just sort of felt again like the old United. We had 3 wins in a row, and it just sort of felt that even though we were away at the City Ground, sort of felt like, the players had kind of come and went, this Forest team aren't doing much. They're kind of lost 4 or 5 in a row. Yeah, new manager. We'll be good enough to beat them. And, it's the Premier League. These guys, you can't turn up at any game, especially away from home, and put in a sub-par performance and expect to win the game. But I was happy that the team managed. Now, we could have gone 3-1 down, but we managed to stick in there, and we'll talk about it later, I'm sure. But Ahmad came up with a wonder goal, and we could have won it. But look, I think I said last week when I was talking to Chris, I kind of thought it might have been a draw. I kind of thought maybe 1-1. It ended up 2-2. And to be honest, look, you just have to go with it. Take the point. I think it was important we didn't lose. Obviously, it would have been nice to have got that 4th win in a row to set up the the Tottenham Hotspurs stadium game next week. But look, we'll take it and run. And we're still up there. We're still up in the upper echelons of the league.
And I'm just thinking, what were our predictions last week? I know my prediction was 3-1 for United. I know Killian got it right because he predicted 3 different ones.
Had me right. One of them was right.
Killian says that the draw he did predict, I think he did say 2-2.
Yeah,
but
I think he did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said 1-1 potentially. I thought it'd either be a 1-0 sneaky win or more than likely 1-1.
Yeah.
So.
And Killian, what was your feeling after the game there? And I know you were a bit more like me, a bit more positive. But...
Well, yeah, I mean, I was positive, like, even during the game, even when we did fall behind. Obviously, it's disappointing that we couldn't keep the win streak going. But I mean, I think the main point we take away from that one is we still got something from the game. Like, I mean, I didn't expect it to be easy because Forest are, yes, they haven't been good this season, but I still think they've got a good squad in there. And with a manager bench of Sean Dyche, I believed this one would be tricky. And of course, it proved to be tricky in the end there, of course. And, I thought first half, first 30 minutes or so before Casemiro's goal anyway, we weren't looking like ourselves. We just weren't getting into the game. But neither were Forest, in my opinion, either, even though Forest probably had the better of the two chances. But I thought after Casemiro's goal, the last bit of the first half, we looked much more energetic. We were playing the football we've seen us play over the past number of weeks. So I sort of felt then coming into the second half that, we can carry on that form, we could maybe get a second goal, kill the game off. But of course, that wasn't the case whatsoever. And so it turned into trying to get a fourth win in a row, to trying to get at least a draw from this one here, thanks to two quick fire goals. But I mean, thankfully, Ahmad stepped up. He was brilliant the entire game, stepped up with his wonder goal. I sort of had that feeling during the entire match he was going to step up with a big moment like that. And of course, scoring his first goal of the season like that is very good too. I think us two were sort of the same. We sort of felt, during the second half that, we were creating chances. We came close at times, like Bruno hitting the post too, Casemiro having a close shot, but was veered by thanks to Morello's pressure. We sort of felt like, even though we were trailing 2-1, we could still come back and even win the game of 3-2. Of course, that didn't happen, but I just had a bit of optimism about us there. And I know we weren't great in that one, and of course, it's disappointing we couldn't win that one either. But I mean, overall, I thought, we still had that bit of bite in us to still, go for the jugular. It didn't happen, obviously, as I just said, but I mean, yeah, thankfully we did get a draw there in that one. Disappointing, however, looking at the game as a whole, it was an even enough game. I didn't really think either side was too good in the sense that they fully deserved the victory, in my opinion. I even said about Nottingham Forest too, so I think a 2-2 draw was a fair enough result, so I'll take the point. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still 4 games unbeaten, and yeah, hopefully we can finish off before the November international break away the Spurs on a high and continue our unbeaten run, and hopefully manage to beat them as well.
Yeah. And, well, funny, just something you said there, I have made a couple of talking points that I wanted to talk on. You said there you thought Ahmad had a really good game. Now, I know, like I said, we were watching on Saturday, with the three of us were watching it together, and there was one point in the game where Killian pointed out to his dad that, yeah, look, you're being a bit negative here, and I was laughing quietly in the corner, but I could see both points. But I mean, I actually have one of my my notes here to talk about the Ahmad and Lenny Euro combination, because I actually thought, yeah, well, maybe we can get into that, and then we'll start that. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I was thinking that, I mean, obviously Ahmad's really good going forward, and I don't actually hold him responsible for anything with the first goal that we conceded, because he's in his right place, he's doing his job. The guy in the BBC Match of the Day actually, talked about being an honest player, and he's working. He was doing exactly what he was told. Truth of it is not a strength. He's the size of him as well. Like, and I personally wasn't impressed with that. I think that Forrest exposed that. And I think Euro has had better games. Don't want to be too harsh on him, but I thought he was just curious on what you guys think. Gags, what do you think there of that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think there was too many players in the starting 11 that I would say did themselves justice. I mean, Euro, he's just one of many who maybe was a wee bit subpar. In regards to Forrest's first goal, to be fair to Gibbs White, and he always does seem to do it against United. He's one of these players. It's a great header. I mean, I don't think I would blame Ahmad either. And Ahmad's playing. He's your wing back. He's not a centre back. He's a wing back. And Gibbs White's probably not the biggest either. But Ahmad's kind of small. But you've got 3 big centre backs. They're obviously all being occupied at the time. But look, I didn't really see that. There was a lot of negatives I was taking from it. I didn't really look at Euro at the time and, feel any real disappointment, other than everybody was a bit subpar. So
it's funny. Yeah. It's funny what everybody sees. Like, I mean, that's what is interesting about talking here. Like, because I know during the match, everybody around this table were talking about different players at different times, and you do see different things. Like, Killian, what do you think of what I was saying there?
Is this about Euro?
So?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing I'd say is, on the right hand side, obviously, with you had Euro, Ahmad, and then Mbumo. You can't expect all three of those players to play good every time. There's going to be some players on that side who play good, some who play bad. You can't expect an entire side of the pitch maybe to play good the entire I mean, I'm not trying to say here that it's acceptable that the players like Euro on the right hand side are underperforming. However, I'm just trying to say it happens. You're not going to get perfect performances from the right hand side or the left hand side every single game. It's going to happen. And Euro he has been in not the best form as of recently. I've seen him against Forest, even against Brighton, which overall was a good performance. He still probably was our weak link in the back three anyway in that game too. I don't know. I think maybe he just needs a bit more games under his belt, a bit more regular starting time to really just gel back into the team. I think within time we're going to see Euro starting to play good again. He just had a bad run of form, obviously, and of course he wasn't at his best against Forest. But I still thought Ahmad was very good. I thought he was actually my man of the match for United's point of view anyway. Maybe not for the entire game, but for United's point of view, he was my man of the match because I thought, during the match when we were mostly ineffective going forward, especially with the starting front three, I still did feel like Ahmad, he showed that energy throughout the entire match going forward too. I think he's sort of picked out badly in set pieces, etc. I mean, as you said about Milenkovic, Murillo, the big players in the Forest team in set pieces, and he seems to be the player, even though he's much smaller than those players, who's marking them in corners and all. And I mean, I've noticed that not only in United games but also games, just watching games, to put smaller players on bigger players just doesn't make too much sense there to me. So I wouldn't really pick against Ahmad defensively here in this one. I think he stuck to his role going forward. Euro had an off day, and yeah, hopefully the Frenchman Euro does get back on track. But I thought Ahmad overall still was pretty good in this one.
I think, from my point of view, the more pertinent question isn't the player on the right side. To me, it's the player we have on the left. Dallo. I have more of an issue with Dallo now. I thought Dallo's been frustrating me for a while. Look, he's all right. He's all right, but there's a lot of stuff he's not doing right. And I think I was looking up some stats, post match, and I could see it. I could see it in the game, and then when I looked at the post match stats, it definitely targeted our left side. They had the majority of their attacks were going down the right hand side on Dallo's side, and let me try to think. I think both crosses. Well, actually, the first cross definitely came in from Dallo's side.
Yeah. Both of them
came in.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more of an issue. And I actually think, you're hearing lots of reports about, Amorim is having talks with Wilcox, January transfer window coming up. I know we bought. I mean, the thing is, we bought Dorgu. His first signing was a left winger. I think we need to go back in the market again, and I think left wing needs to be a bit of a priority for Amorim's system, because I think Ahmad,
maybe with the right defenders, I just felt Euro and him were just more a strong partnership. They just they got caught out a couple of times basically. Ahmad's just so small. Do you know what I mean when it comes to those? Yeah. But listen, I'm aware here of the time, and I see Chris is going to come on now shortly, so we'll move on here and get Chris in, and then we can continue talking then.
Sure.
About the rest of the game after. All right, so we've got we'll welcome back Chris Watson. He was here last week. If you watched the show, Chris. First of all, a bit of bad news there afterwards the game. Before we get on to it, I hope everybody was okay and not involved in it.
Yeah, I've no one I know was involved in that afterwards. No.
Yeah, in case anyone's not talking about the train incident, because I know there was Nottingham Forest fans involved.
Yeah, I think it was a Forest fan that got involved. I think he got injured, but I think he's okay. I saw it on the news earlier.
Yeah, it was a nice thing that the owner was saying that he would pay for any medical things that he needs.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't see that. Well, that's great. Yeah, that's good.
But anyway, listen, on to football. How are you feeling tonight?
Positive. I was very, very happy with the 2-2 draw. You guys came into on the back of 3 wins. We'd won 1 in 8. I wasn't expecting much. At 2-1, I thought we might get over the line, but it was a great game. It was a great game, a great advert for the Premier League.
Yeah, and look, because we were messaging a wee bit during the game,
Yeah.
And but that second half actually started. The three of us, we were just saying there earlier in the show that the three of us all watched the game together. And at halftime, I got them to do a wee bit of work in my back garden for me. And so we came in, and the game had started, and uh, like before we knew it, before I'd actually got back into the room and settled down, it was 2-1. So, like, what was what happened there? If you can, from a Forest point of view, that's something I want to talk later about.
Yeah, I'm hoping it was a Sean Dyche kind of team talk at half time that got them riled up and they came flying out the box. It was a strange one because I expected at 2-1, I expected Dyche to set up shots, go 5 in midfield. He didn't do that. He made the substitutions a little bit later. He made them at 2-2. I think at that point he decided a point was going to be better than nothing. But that's quite encouraging that he's not kind of playing his defensive style that he's known for at Everton and Burnley. He was at 2-1. He was still happy to go for it, and we pushed for it. And yeah, we had a couple of chances.
Yeah, you nearly went 3-1 up. I think it was Hudson-Odoi, was it?
Yeah.
Had a great shot.
Yeah.
So
and
I actually thought it was
great. It was great to see Murillo and Williams throwing their body in front of the ball.
Yeah.
That was great to see. I think Murillo cleared it off the line. I think you guys finished stronger. I think when the ball went up with 5 minutes, I was happy with that. If it's going to say 8 or 9, I could have seen Manny nicking a winner. We almost got one at the end. Anderson went quite close. I think he went out for a corner. I think it actually came up one of our players, but
corners were controversial.
they were. I'm surprised in 2 weeks that's happened to us now.
Yeah, well, funny. I was looking there at what Dyche had said. I hadn't seen what the previous. I think it was completely out. I don't know.
I think it's hard to tell. I like to think these things. Yeah, I think these things kind of even themselves out at the end of the season.
I think it was out 15 years ago. I mean, it's out, but since then,
it's
laws have changed.
By the rules that you see nowadays, it wasn't out because if that had been a goal and they would have got VAR into it, it would have said that the ball hadn't completely crossed. But the thing, like all the pundits are saying about the referees or the linesmen or whatever, they just need to get Alan Shearer on Match of the Day was saying, they have to get that right. They have to get it. I was like, how are they meant to get it right whenever he's at the other side of the pitch?
Yeah,
and
it's impossible.
So I mean, the only other thing, like they were saying, and Dyche was maybe talking about, could they bring in some kind of technology for that type of stuff? But probably the easiest thing that they could do would put officials on all sides of the pitch. Do you know what I mean? They've done that in the Europa League. Do you remember they had a behind the goal or something?
Oh yeah.
So just 2 extra people, and that would solve that. Maybe it's a money thing. Maybe the Premier League feel they can't afford it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think technology could end up kind of ruining the game. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. With VAR, it's great when it works here. It's not when it doesn't.
Well, the thing is, if you defend the corner, it's not a talking point. It just so happens we score.
Yeah.
And then I think Forrest got a corner near the end of the second half, and it wasn't a corner.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
So it could have, if you had scored from that.
I think that was the Anderson shot, wasn't it? I think it wasn't a corner.
Yeah.
And we got a corner. So yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Have you got bad internet there tonight, Chris? I think we've temporarily lost you. This happened to us actually in episode 1, remember? And we were
Scotty. We kept on talking.
And
Scotty was there.
And Scotty was there.
He was still talking.
So he was still talking away. So we'll keep talking here until I'm sure Chris will come back on. But yeah. He's mentioned your guy Anderson there a few times. Was it Killian?
I wanted to talk about him, and I was going to say, obviously, probably a main thing we need to be looking at is a new midfielder, and the partner, whoever in midfield, whether it's Bruno, Menu, I don't even know. I'm still not too bought in Bruno, being in that pivot. But regardless, anyway, we need a proper, good quality midfielder who can play in the Premier League and who can put in consistent performances for us week in, week out. Because it's something we haven't had since probably under Herrera many years ago.
Big fan
So
of her.
the three names sort of who have been around over the past number of weeks, even months: Baleba from Brighton, Wharton from Palace, and Anderson for Forest. Currently, if I was to rank those three based on who I'd go for, I'd have Baleba, Brighton last. I'd probably have Wharton at Palace second, even though I think Wharton's the best of the three there. But to be honest, I'd be going for Ali Anderson there. I just think Anderson would really suit United the most, in my opinion. Now, maybe Wharton could suit us more because, he's actually playing in the same system at Palace. I don't know. There's something about Anderson which just makes me think he's a United player more so than Adam Wharton anyway. So, I mean, I'm not against signing Adam Wharton. Obviously, I think it would be just as good. However, Ali Anderson, for me, is a quality player. Just watching him on Saturday afternoon, he's just pinging balls all over the pitch effortlessly. He's a well-structured midfielder too. And I think as Chris mentioned last week, if he just had a bit more goals to his game, he'd be the complete midfielder. So for me, we need to be going for him.
But what we should do, really, is we should be getting two.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But
Bruno,
you're
let
not
Bruno
gonna-
go, 80 million.
Yeah.
Casemiro's leaving. We're paying him 350,000 a week. Do you know?
I can't see
and-
Manu staying either.
No, well,
It depends.
Bruno, if
When
Bruno
does-
goes and Casemiro goes, go out and get Wharton and Anderson
Well,
Yeah.
when does Casemiro's contract finish?
this season, unless we extend it. But
Yeah.
he's doing well.
Yeah.
He's doing well, but again, they said last week it's a World Cup year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
And-
suddenly got himself fit.
And what is he, 33 or?
I'm back.
He's back.
Oh, well,
Oh yeah, no problem, Chris. We knew you'd come back. No, we were just talking there about
Elliot.
maybe pinching one of your players. So
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, which one you after?
Killian has his eyes on Anderson there.
Yeah, I think Anderson's going to be hot property in January and next summer.
Yeah.
I think we'll struggle to hold on to him. I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about Real Madrid. It apparently talks about 150 million for Anderson and Moreno as a
Okay.
package,
Oh, for two.
which would be devastating for us. But
That's good
I
money.
suppose it all,
Yeah.
it all depends where we finish in the league.
Yeah, yeah.
Forest fashion, with that money, you'd probably buy a complete new starting 11 too.
Yeah, we're probably going to do what we normally do and buy 15 new players. But it's a strange one this season because obviously the squad is very, very strong as it's been for a long time, and we are struggling. I think it's imperative we get a win against Leeds on Saturday. There's a gap starting to open now.
It was big performance for you because you're 2-1 up against United. You're going to bring so much confidence.
Yeah.
The Sean Dyche era is definitely going to start.
Yeah,
gathering
I was
momentum.
pleased. I was
Yeah.
pleased. I wasn't expecting a win. The draw was great, but it was the performance. It was a great game all in all. It was end to end stuff.
Yeah, it was a good game.
And yeah, so from a Forest point of view, was that an improvement then? Are you seeing improvement under Dyche? I mean,
Oh,
obviously the
massively,
results are improving, but I mean,
Yeah,
what are
yeah.
you seeing? What are you seeing?
It's strange with players and managers, and under Postecoglou, they didn't seem to want to play for him. And under Dyche, like I said, you had players throwing their body in front of the ball, and it's almost running through brick walls for him. With Postecoglou, that just wasn't the case. I'm not really sure how that happens when a manager comes in and he can very quickly get players to think and perform in that way for him, but it's happening. So hopefully a result against Leeds on Saturday, and then we can start moving up the league.
Yeah, where are you currently in the league?
We're second from bottom,
The
and there is a
Ham-
gap starting to open between kind of
Mhm.
us. Obviously, West Ham are just above us, and Burnley.
West Ham
That was a
won,
big-
didn't it?
yeah,
Last
that
night.
was a big-
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've got
yeah.
Sturm Graz on Thursday in the Europa League, so that's
Must
away.
It must be nice to have midweek games.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, from a fan's point of view. I think we talked about it the other day. The thing I'm struggling with a little bit is we've got a huge squad, and Dyche doesn't seem to be changing the squad or changing
Yeah.
the team, sorry, for those games. But he's only had one European game so far, and he played exactly the same team against Bournemouth and an almost identical team against Man United. So he always has a very strong idea of his strongest 11 is. but you can't do that all season while playing Europa League as well.
It's funny, Dyche seems to have worked out his strongest 11 after like 10 days. And
Absolutely, yeah.
Amorim went about a year and he's still changing the team. And we're only starting to now. It's
Yeah, he seems to
starting to
have it
settle
now.
down, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
starting to.
Well, I
That
think
front three of yours seems quite consistent, is it? Cunha and Burma and Sasko.
Yeah.
well, we're going to talk a wee bit about Seshko later as well. I think he was
It's a bit of an off day, I think, for all
Yeah.
three of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just, I don't know. I kind of felt we played quite narrow. You know, we weren't.
Yeah. They did that the week before. The front three were really narrow. And I think I said that last week, that if we could play out from the back, get out wide quickly, with the pace of Dan O'Doy and Tom Hudson-Odoi.
I was looking up there one of those like heat maps there today, and that's something I had noticed about United. Like the average position of the players was very tight in the middle, and then the two subs that he made, it was interesting the change that made as well. Like, I'm trying to think actually because it was the two cornerbacks that he changed for United.
No, he put on Dorgu for Dallo.
Yeah.
Mazraoui on as a centre back.
Yeah, but it kind of moved him around. But yeah, no, it's it was a strange game from a United point of view, really. I mean, I had the opinion that, you know, I was disappointed in the kind of the speed, the intensity, more like the United had in the game. But I think I actually just think it must just have been the game plan that kind of like Amorim sent them out and said, look, you know, hold the ball and he probably assumed Forest are going to sit deep and let them come out and, you know, find nice passes and things like that there. But the problem is the atmosphere, like you said last week, Chris, like the atmosphere was class. Like, I mean, you could hear it coming through the TV. Never mind. I'd love to experience it.
Yeah. The atmosphere is always great at City Ground. It's always great.
And just to what you were saying there, you know, I suppose the difference for Amorim picking the team and the likes of Dyche coming in there, Dyche is coming in with a very similar style of play that Nuno had, in the sense, or kind of conservative kind of play, you know, and the team was set up for that style of play, whereas Amorim's come into United with, you know, with completely wrong players for his style of football.
He came in with about 4 or 5 managers players.
Yeah.
Just like a...
Same can be said with Ange and Forrest too. Like, I mean, as you say, Forrest were set up to play that sort of defensive counter-attacking system, but for Ange, he's more about the high line attacking football. So, I mean,
well, that's what I mean. Yeah,
I still think the players are there, but they just weren't, you know, ready to just, you know, get straight into that system, and didn't seem motivated either. Maybe if Ange joined in the summer, it could have been a different story, but yeah, the team just seems to be made for that sort of system, played by Nuno and Dyche.
Yeah.
But it was a strange appointment, Postecoglou, I think. Polar opposite to what Nuno was. So that was a strange appointment.
They're mates, aren't they? It must have been just...
he must have just... and Postecoglou
must have been having a glass of red wine and just went, actually, come on, we'll give it a go.
Fancy the job.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're mates anymore, if they had to pay them a big massive payout.
No, probably not. Yeah.
But well, I'm sure, I mean, I think, you know, it's kind of funny what you're saying there, because like you're saying their Forest need to get a win, and it's the league is so tight that everybody seems to be saying the same thing. You know, it's the next game, but
I think there'll be plenty of big teams will go to the City Ground and do well to get a point from here on in. So I think we'll look back at this result and kind of think, it's like, you know, Bournemouth, and think, you know, there's no easy games. I think Forest are going to start turning the corner. Looks like it anyway.
Yeah, I hope so. We looked a lot better on Saturday. Like I said, it was encouraging that Dyche at 2-1 didn't look to shut up shop. He brought on Sangare and Awoni, but that was only after it went to 2-2.
Yeah.
So I think he decided to settle for the draw at that point, which I think was a good move.
And Amorim, like we were chasing the game, and he didn't make any offensive subs. You know, he put on Dorgu and he put on Masrari. You know, he had Mount and Xerxes on the bench. Even Big Harry Maguire. You know, I think the fans were hoping Big Harry would come on, but maybe he's not fit. Yeah.
Here, Chris, I've a question for you. Have you seen the logo going around, the Nottingham Forest logo, but with the guy, the United fan with the hair?
No, I've not seen that.
You haven't seen it? I must put it up in this.
I've seen the chap. I know the guy.
Yeah, like if you look at your logo there on your shirt, right? It's like it's brilliant. Like they've put his face inside the logo, like and
okay.
it's class. Like, I'll definitely put it up.
Yeah.
I'll definitely put it up. But
Oh,
you sent me that
Preston,
earlier.
he's back onto zero now, isn't he? So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
it's tough times.
Well, Killian, I had actually I messaged your dad earlier, but did you know when the last time United actually had won 5 games in a row?
It was I think it was February 2024. It's not even that long ago, considering how hard it is to win 5 games in a row. But it was that period, January to February, under Ten Hag, and it was Hoyland getting 6 goals in 5 games or something. It was a brilliant run, and then it's sort of, it was just that season as a whole under Ten Hag was just so up and down. So after that finish, it was just downhill nearly until the end of the season.
Never won another game.
No, we won the FA Cup in the end.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Seems a long time ago now, but no.
So what position? What going forward the rest of the season? What would you like Force? What's your ambitions for Force now?
I think realistically, we've got to be looking at just surviving. I think we're currently 4 points away from Burnley, which is 17th, which is safety. That's 2 games. A win and a draw, providing Burnley lose both. So I think there's no time we've got to be looking at safety. At the beginning of the season, I was optimistic. I thought top 10, but now I don't think we'll be anywhere near that.
Would you want to?
Which kind of goes back to the Anderson situation, which he will go to the World Cup next year, and he'll probably start in a midfield 3 with Rice and Bellingham, and his stock will rise because he's a good player.
Yeah. Would you want to be running Europe as well? Do you think you can?
That'd be great. That'd be great. It's when you're a Forest fan, the thing you have to look at is, for years I would always say, is it better to be challenging at the top of the Championship or fighting relegation? Unfortunately, for 23 years we didn't have the chance to fight relegation. This was in the Championship, but it might be one of those with the Europa League. It's like, do you win the Europa League and get relegated? Is that a successful season, or just bomb out of the Europa League and stay in the Premier League and come 17th?
I think surely surely Europa League. You lift the trophy and then win the Championship.
I'm so used to a Championship. I think winning the Europa League would be fantastic. Yeah, we might be able to do both. Might win that and stay in the Premier League.
True.
I don't think you'll have any problem. I think Dyche is a really good solid. I think he's already made a very good start. And from what I saw against United, I'd be really surprised if you're in trouble. I'm looking to see when we play is next. It's actually the second last game of our season. So 17th of May is the next time we play, Chris. So
okay.
Could play in the FA Cup though. You never know.
We could play in the FA Cup, Chris. Yeah, hopefully
FA Cup.
I don't know who I want to play. But listen, anything else, guys, that you just want to talk about there? Well, what did you? I know, and this is probably a strange question to ask a Forest fan. What did you see in United that maybe we didn't see? Like, what was your instinct on the United team?
I think United they're much more compact than what we were just literally 5 weeks ago. Breaking United down, we really struggled when you saw those times with Hudson-Odoi, and he always cuts in. There was always 2 or 3 players in front of Hudson-Odoi. Same with Dan O'Doy. I think your back four and your holding midfielders, they were in the last 5 weeks have become a lot more compact. I think that game on Saturday, if that was last season, it could have ended up 6 each. It was one of those games, but you were a lot more compact than you previously were. I still think your front three are far too narrow. I think you need some width. Sesto's such a big lad. There's nothing wrong with whipping balls into him. Doesn't seem to be fashionable nowadays, though, does it? Whipping balls into centre forwards.
No, it definitely doesn't. But I mean, what is he? He's a big lad. It was the same with Hoyland. He would be making runs, pass, early ball, just first time. Because even if something else will happen, you'll get a break and
if you don't put the ball in the box, it's nothing. You're not going to score goals.
No, exactly.
And I know people have started doing the long throw again now, so you might see a little revert back to 80s, early 90s football where You know, they don't take short corners anymore. They whip it into the box, that kind of thing, which is
Yeah,
exciting.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, no, again, since we started doing this, I've started looking at all these heat maps and stuff because it's quite interesting actually. And I was looking today at Seshko's general position, like, and it's not far from the halfway line and very close to. Everybody looks so tight, you know, and like I said, it comes in the game. I just miss. I'm not sure if you can see this. You can't see this. I've got a bed sheet here on the wall of Ryan Giggs. So, like, you know, this was my bed sheet that I had when I was like, but it actually says 19 champions 1992-93 on his just right over my shoulder here. That
Yeah.
says 90. So that shows you how old it is. But like, yeah, I just miss wingers. Like, but just someone like if you had back, I know this is way back in the day, like, but if you had Beckham and Giggs and you had a guy that size, like, you'd just be whipping balls in.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like,
Beckham,
yeah,
Giggs, Kanchelskis, people like that. Someone with Sheshko's size. When you saw Highland yesterday for Man City, every time City got the ball, he sprinted towards the edge of the box every single time.
Yeah. No, he's a beast.
And Sesko doesn't seem to be doing that at the moment. He plays a little bit deep, and he should be that. He should be that last. He should be that kind of the last line, the person right in the box, someone to aim towards. Because he's got the size. He's got the size, and he's definitely got the strength as well.
Yeah. Well, listen, Chris, I think unless, case you have anything else, I think we'll leave it there. And just thank you for coming on again.
No problem.
We'll definitely keep in touch, and you know, all being well, we'll get you back on then. Well, the 17th would be the week before that, May, but sure, there's plenty of time to give you a heads up for that. But yeah, no, I'll keep it's good. It's good. It's nice to be making contact with fans from other teams and stuff. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on Forest now and seeing how they're doing and stuff like that there. So, yeah, appreciate it, man.
Perfect.
And
Cheers,
look
guys.
forward to
It's
talking to
been
you
a
in the
pleasure.
future. All right.
All right. Speak to
cheers,
you
man.
soon.
Good, man.
Thanks,
All the
guys.
best. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so thank you to Chris, and just guys, before we to wrap up this episode here, we'll just finish off with final thoughts and anything you haven't got to speak. And Killian, there's something you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, I wanted to just briefly touch on the front three. Mainly, I suppose, on Benjamin Sesko. Now, look, Sesko, he's still young. He's coming from the Bundesliga. He's still taking time to adjust to the league, I suppose. And I'm happy to remain as patient for as long as possible. I'm happy to give Sesko enough time so that eventually he can become a world-class striker for us. But I thought against Forest heading off there, I mean, overall, like, I just wasn't seeing enough centre forward qualities from him. Like, of course, I mean, you know, he just wasn't. His movement was off. Really, he just wasn't really getting in the best positions to score goals too. I mean, we either weren't crossing the ball into him, but even if we did attempt to cross the ball into him, either he was the only player in the box, surrounded by about 5 or 6 Forest players, or if we did put a cross in, I do recall at least once or twice anyway, Shashko being about 5 or 10 yards behind the play. And so I just feel like overall Shashko is inconsistent in getting into those positions as a whole there. So there still is work for the Slovenian to do. However, I do believe still he can come good. And overall, I just want to, you know, touch briefly again on what Chris mentioned about the narrow front three. And I just want to remind you all here that Amorim system does mainly focus on attacking midfielders instead of wingers. The wing backs are sort of turning into the wingers. That's what we see with Diogo Dalot and Ahmad Diallo as well. But I do suppose I would agree with Chris. We need to be a bit more wide in the front three. Like, I do know, obviously, Cunha and Mbeumo are both playing more so as attacking midfielders there, but they're both well capable of playing a bit wider, obviously. And Mbeumo experienced some fantastic seasons with Brentford in that sort of position. He scored, like, what was it? I think 20 goals last season for Brentford in the Premier League. So, you know, he's just as effective in a wider position. And the same can be said for Cunha, even though Cunha is sort of still playing in a similar role he was playing with Wolves in last season, but he still is capable of playing a bit wider. So I just feel like, you know, Sheshko can get help too if we had Cunha and Mbeumo, the likes of those players, playing a bit more wider too. I think we'd create much better chances there. I think Sheshko would create better movement and he would get into better positions too. And so, yeah, I believe there still is work to be doing, but I'm patient and hopefully that all comes to fruition.
Do you think Seshko is falling into the same problem that Hoyland had?
Anthony Marshall before him.
Well, I'm not sure.
Which by I mean a lack of service, a lack of
graveyard shift.
having to come back
yeah,
deep.
I mean, he is coming deep again. He isn't getting the best service, but I mean, Hoyland was getting. The thing about Hoyland was, I mean, you're probably going to be unhappy with this statement because you do really like Hoyland. But I thought last season, second half of last season, like Hoyland was getting the ball quite a lot, but when he was getting the ball, he just wasn't making best use of the chances he was getting. That was what really did nag me about Hoyland there. The Sheshko, I feel like Sheshko was a bit of a different player to Hoyland. I think there's more of a technical ability about him, and so he's getting on the ball more. I think he's better in the link-up play, and I just think, in those attacking positions, that's sort of where he's not getting the ball in at the minute, of course. But I do believe still there's creative players around him. It's going to take time. I think as the season does go on, Shashko's movement, his positioning, and all will improve. And I think once that does improve, we're going to see him get the ball. Like we've seen it a couple of times already. He is still getting service. He's not maybe getting as much service as we'd want him to get. However, I do believe, he is still a good player, good technical player, and eventually the chances will come for him, and with that, the goals will come as well.
Yeah, I think what are we thinking? What's the thoughts here on Amorim's performance of the weekend? I'm just looking at his quote, and I would absolutely agree with this here. I'm just looking here. I will put it up on the screen after, but so where he said there in the past, if we had this bad 5 minutes, suffered 2 goals, we wouldn't have recovered. But you could sense that. You could sense that we could not win the game. I don't like that. But we're not going to lose it. But what's your thoughts on that? Because I think, I was, I have to hold my hand up. I was saying he had to make changes. I was saying Ahmad had to come off. I'm not going to lie. I was saying he needed to change him. I wanted to see Xerxes come on. I wanted to see a bit of change into the front three or whatever, just to change it about. It wasn't that I thought they were doing anything wrong. It just sometimes it's not working. It just looked a bit stale. I think if so, the question that's coming to my head is like, what changes? What would you have done differently? It doesn't mean you're right, but what would you have done? I would have liked to see Xerxes and maybe Mount. I don't know why Mount isn't playing. Has he been injured again? Or?
Mount was injured, but he was back on the bench. Yeah, but well, that's it. That's the problem with Mount. In regards to Amorim, I might just think that for the game, I just sort of felt he got his tactics wrong. Kind of felt a bit, the average position of the players were quite defensive. This is a team that should be full of confidence. The no force under Dyche are maybe going to be playing a bit of a low block. You needed to attack them. It was far too conservative, in my opinion. So I kind of think he kind of got things wrong in that respect. What I will say about Amorim, though, and I'd mentioned it on an earlier podcast, that was really bugging me was his demeanour. I've seen a change. I mean, a big time change in Amorim, and was much more happy of him. Whenever we got the equaliser, he was like fully. You could see him pushing the team to go on and win it. In previous times, he would have been sitting on the sideline shaking his head as if, "Oh, you're playing it." It's just. So I'm happier with his demeanour. I sort of feel things in the background are better. Maybe he feels a wee bit more. Maybe it is Jim Ratcliffe coming out and saying, we're sticking with this guy, even if it's maybe not, it's a statement, it mightn't be true, but he definitely, I'm more happy with what I'm seeing on the sideline. What do you think?
Sort of similar enough to Mourinho then, obviously. They're both Portuguese, obviously. I mean, that's an obvious one there. But I mean, but I remember with Mourinho, even though I was pretty young when Mourinho was with us, I still do remember, like, when we scored goals, like, the majority of the time, he would sort of not really celebrate. That sort of was Mourinho's personality. But I mean, I do remember times when we scored and he would just go absolutely berserk out of nowhere. I mean, I do recall once, many years ago in the Champions League, Fellaini scored a late winner against Young Boys, I think it was, and he was up celebrating, jumping up and down. He got a big rack of water bottles and he threw it against the ground. So, I think Amorim's sort of the same. I think, there's going to be times when his demeanour's poor. And obviously, like, I think his demeanour was worse than anything we've ever seen from Mourinho sometimes when he doesn't celebrate. But I feel like, he has that sort of similar personality in the touchline. But I'm liking the fact now we're starting to see him celebrate more. And like that Ahmad equaliser, the passion he did show alongside all the other coaches was very, very refreshing to see, and it definitely is another very positive thing in terms of the morale in the team as well, I think.
What I think is potentially a big plus is Martinez is nearing match fit. I think he I think he's going to play. I mean, he has to stay fit, but I think he can play a massive role because if he's playing as a left centre back, but Martinez more than anybody has that ability to drop into midfield, and I think that's how Amorim wants it to play. He wants whenever we have the ball for one of the centre backs like Martinez to suddenly become like to help the midfield. I think that will kind of bolster our midfield up. So I think Martinez maybe coming back is going to have a massive impact on the team. Here's hoping anyway.
Okay, well, listen, guys, we'll wrap it up there for this episode. So, thank you very much for coming along again, as always. And guys, if you enjoyed this episode, like I said at the start, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment there on YouTube. Give us your thoughts, get involved in it. We'll definitely reply to anyone who gets involved there. And so look out for we're going to continue. We're going to continue now, but that podcast is going to come out this Thursday at 11 o'clock UK time, and we're going to have our two Spurs fans on to look forward to the weekend, and hopefully on to another back to winning ways. So, guys, thank you very much, and up the Reds. Oh, sorry, one last thing I'm gonna have to add into this. So my daughter has been bugging me. I want to get on the United Stand. I was gonna say on the Irish Red Devils podcast, and 12-year-old daughter. And I said to her, well, listen, you have to watch all the matches. She wouldn't do it, but then she started playing piano, and I says, well, if you learn how to play Glory Glory Man United, I says I'll record you and I'll put it on. So that's going to see us out here. So hope you enjoyed this rendition of Glory Glory Man United.